ground my history, my success, and I believe it's applicable to government. Let me give you some examples. I think might be helpful.
Yeah.
In business, in the private sector, like in government, you have to make choices around hiring people, right? And in business, if you hire good people, you will have a successful business. If you don't, you won't. In government, if you hire good people, your government will be likely to be successful. In business, like in the government, you got to make choices. You cannot do everything. You got to prioritize. You got to make choices. You got to decide what you're going to focus on. In government, you got to do the same thing. You can't fix everything all at the same time. It doesn't work. You got to make choices. In business, you got to deliver results to your people that buy a product. If you don't, they won't buy your product. You will not be successful. In government, you got to deliver results for the voters. Otherwise, they won't really like you. You got to give them tangible results. A lot of common threads between the two sectors. So I don't buy the argument that, because I come from the private sector, you can't bring those skills to running a government. You got to hold people accountable, right? People got to perform or not. In business, you got to do that. You need to do that in government. So the idea of, we keep doing the same thing, we're hiring the same people, and then somehow we expect different results, that's not going to happen. We need a whole different perspective if we really want to change our country and move it forward.
So there's another point that I hear people talk about a lot, and I hope that you can respond to this as we engage our view here. Something that the manner in which you are anticipating to ascend is not taking the step one day at a time. So, for example, President Weah had to go through the national legislature. He had to be senator before having some understanding of governance, then moving into another election to become president. Why are you just opting to be president and not wanting to go through some other maybe governmental change? Maybe climbing the ladder, becoming a senator, which is something that you said very well before thinking about becoming president.
Yeah. So I've been asked this question, as you know, many times, and what I say is, without any disrespect to the legislature, the Senate, very important body, the first branch of government, my goal for wanting to get into politics is to have significant impact on the lives of all Liberians.
All Liberians.
All Liberians. I want to impact the lives positively of all Liberians.
Can you start from the county level?
So if I may, I want to impact the lives of all Liberians, and the job through which you can do that, all Liberians, is the presidency. We have a government and a system over the 171 years of our country's existence that has not worked very well, as exemplified by where we find ourselves today, right? All the challenges we've talked about. So I think we need fresh perspective, different thinking, a different approach to how we want to develop our country. And that's what I bring. And I don't believe that, spending time in a system, by the way, it doesn't mean I don't understand the system or how it works, right? And there's an assumption that you got to work in the system to understand the system. I fundamentally disagree with that presupposition. I think I understand the system, I understand why it works, I understand its feelings, and therefore I want to take those learnings to the bigger stage. And at the end of the day, Liberian people will make that call. We'll make our case, and they will decide. And I'm happy to continue to be a private citizen and help Liberians in other ways. So ultimately, it's a call of Liberians in terms of who leads them, and we support whatever call they make.
Okay. So if you're called today and petitioned by Marylanders or maybe by people in Mosorado, that at this point, please serve us from this direction, what will you do?
I will not. I will support them, and I will support the folks from Maryland, folks from Mosorado in whatever way I can, but not as their senator.
So, Mr. Cummings, until you ascend to the presidency, you remain a private businessman. If you are not president here, you will not serve in any other capacity except as a private citizen. Is that what you say?
That and for now, as political leader of the ANC, so that's correct.
Why are you so strong on that? Even if your people call you to serve them, you will refuse them because you only want to be president.
Because I can serve them in other ways, and I will serve them in other ways. But again, I'm at this point in time, I'm not looking to work in the Senate or in other position. In fact, it'll put more constraints than I think it will be helpful to them. So I will help. Because now I have the flexibility to invest in businesses in Liberia. I have the flexibility to travel as necessary in and around the country. When you're in government, you need to live by a certain code. And if I went to the government, I want to live by a certain code. I can't be in the Senate regulating a particular industrial sector if I want to participate in that sector. I'm sure some people do it. I would not do that. So I don't want those constraints. I'd rather help Liberians from the outside. And if given the opportunity to serve them as a leader, I would. And if not, I will continue to serve Liberians as a private citizen.
A very strong point here. And I like the way you've answered that particular point. Let me take you to what we've seen so far under this administration in terms of projects. I know you've been reading and going through some of it. This administration put on their radar as priority roads. The president seemed to be doing a lot of road inspection. There's a road project or financing project coming up for road to the southeast, road to Lofa, neighborhood roads, hospital, tuition free for undergraduates at the university. All of it seem to be a plus for this government. You want to take it as face value?
Well, if they do it, it would be a plus.
What that supposition?
But because it hasn't been done, Smith.
Are you not seeing the movement in neighborhoods and of course the pronouncement of the president and of course the military hospital and other projects?
Let's break this down, right?
Supposition is what I'm trying to hold.
Yeah, because if they do it, it'll be a good thing. So I think that's a good answer, by the way. I'm not saying but so let's take about the roads to the southeast.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the Eton loan. That was a debacle, right? I don't think the research was done to ascertain whether Eton really has the financial capability. Are they a credible organization? The economic impact study on what that road would do, how you generate tax revenue along the corridor. All of that stuff wasn't done, and of course, as a result, the loan didn't happen, right? The military hospital. Let's talk about that. So there are about 2,500 people in Liberian Army, right? If you say each one of them got 10 people, relatives that they look after, that's 25,000 people. If I'm going to provide a hospitalization for the military, a more efficient way would say, let's fix JFK. Let's take a wing of JFK and dedicate it to the military, right? As opposed to building a whole separate hospital to support what is now a relatively small army. And that money, by the way, maybe we should pay the military more money, pay them big salaries, they may be better off, and dedicate a wing of JFK for them to go get the treatment. That for me would have been a more creative way of addressing, the needs of our military, as opposed to building a hospital rather than paying them more money every month. I would have thought differently about that. But I go back to my point though, if they do these things, that would be a good thing.
What's about the effort on the alleviating the pressure on parents and graduates, especially on this undergraduate program pronouncement?
That's a good pronouncement. It's helpful for our young people, for our students, and I have no issues, and I wouldn't criticize. I think it's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Yes.
Okay. You've seen some real good thing gradually picking up.
I didn't say that. I answer your question specifically, and if you list a few others that I think are good, I will say they are or not.
But do me a list of a few others.
No, that's not my role to give you a list.
I'm not sure you've seen all of the bar.
You are trying to make a certain point here.
Yeah.
You give me the list, and I promise you, if I think it's good, I will say so. If I disagree, I will tell you I don't agree.
Let's talk about your recent travels. You've been leaving Liberia of late. You've traveled a lot. You've been to the U.S. Town hall meetings. What are you discussing in those town hall meetings?
So, first of all, travel a lot is a relative term. So I don't know if I travel a lot, but I do travel.
Yeah.
Look, I tell people about Liberia, the country, my sense of where it is. But more importantly, I focus on the ANC, that we're trying to, re-architect our party, reorganize ourselves, and I encourage Liberians to come join the ANC. Let's make this a real institution, not build around me per se, but let's build an institution we can be proud of. Let's truly build a political institution that is collectively owned by many Liberians, that is not built around one individual. Let's raise the funding so that we can appropriately fund it. And I focus really on trying to build the ANC. I encourage them. We want to think about starting about 2020 and the senatorial elections. You mentioned that. I'm not interested in it, but the ANC want to place candidates and win some seats in the Senate in 2020. So I talk to them, about that as well. And then I answer questions about various topics, some of the questions you're asking today, and many other questions. And so, in fact, most of the time I spend talking to Liberians is around Q&A, answering their questions about a variety of topics.
How is the discussion on this collaboration going? The Liberty Party, Unity Party, ANC collaboration. Is this something that is going to drive you into future election, or you do this now and then in time to come you go your separate ways?
So the hope is, and we're working together for future elections. Smith, I cannot predict that will happen, but I'm optimistic that it will, and I hope it does. And we're all working in that direction. So, we all got behind, supported Dr. Tokpa in Bong, and he was successful. We all got behind, supported Cornelia Cry, District 13. She was not successful. I use those as examples of our goal is to work together, even in 2020. Our hope is that we'll work together, and rather than have competing candidates running in the election, that we'll have joint candidates across the country. We will develop a process so that we can decide amongst ourselves who to get behind, and we'll work on that before 2020. But the goal is that we'll have single candidates that will all support in 2020. And then we'll align around common issues. We've had a couple of joint press conferences on different topics throughout the year. I'm hopeful we'll align around electoral reform as something that I think is very important for our country. So I'm confident we'll align around having a common view on the sort of changes we want to make to improve the quality of our elections. So it's early days. I know Liberians are anxious, but sometimes you got to go slow to go fast. And I think this period of time, we're getting to know each other, we're having conversations. We need to bring our various partisans along in this journey, and that takes time. But I'm very optimistic that, and I know the other two parties are optimistic as well, that if we do this well, we take our time, we'll end up with an alliance that will endure, that will stick. The good news is we're not doing it in the middle of an election. It's not just expedient. We're doing it now where we have time to take our time and make it real strong and vibrant, so that we don't do it, you rush and do it, and right after election, the alliance starts to break apart, which may be happening with the current coalition. Maybe, I say. So we want to avoid that.
Something we've seen happen in political establishment is who become the arrowhead. And as you go into discussion, now you are emphatic that there should be a Cummings sitting at the helm of any discussion in the future to be the next president, if there's one to come after this administration. And you are in discussion with other political parties who think in the same direction. There's a Liberty Party who's been fighting for the presidency for elections after election. and the symbol of the Unity Party who's just lost the seat, and you, the newborn on the block, to be very strong in your belief that no matter what, I should be the man on top of this discussion.
No, but you're saying, you use the word emphatic. I answered your question that I wasn't interested in any other role but the presidency. That a very different question from saying I'm emphatic that the coalition has to get behind me. That two very different.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
Points. There isn't.
If you stand on ground and there's a support coming.
But there's a process for that. I cannot be declarative in that statement. Look, if I'm to lead Liberia, I want to lead it in a way that will bring people along, that will bring people together, right? There are times when you need to be emphatic, you need to be decisive. I don't think it's appropriate to declare yourself the leader. The people got to declare who they want their leader to be. This is a democracy. And so if I do the work, that may be the outcome, but I got to do the work. I got to earn it. I need to earn this. I'm not entitled to lead Liberia. I gotta earn it. Liberian people gotta have confidence in me. And so do my colleagues in the other parties. So I put the burden on myself to earn the right to do that. And if I don't earn it, then I don't deserve it. And I don't mind putting that pressure on myself.
2 more questions, then we'll go to the lines for some interaction with the public before we run out of 6 o'clock. Are you happy with the way that our democracy has been practiced, has been pushed, has been tested? We have in protests here, we have in situation catching nowadays, and of course, how you talk about the court proceeding, the impeachment proceeding, the president has been sending bill on the tenure position. That is all part of the beauty of our democracy. Are we putting it to test, or you think we are becoming dictatorial here?
So first of all, I think the fact that people are protesting peacefully, I think is a good thing for our democracy, that people are allowed to assemble, to gather, and to protest peacefully. That's a good thing. And I want to encourage and the government to continue to allow that to happen, because I think that's good for our democracy. I am concerned, though, about some of what I describe as governance challenges. Again, I mentioned earlier, you just mentioned it as well, Smith, the whole impeachment of Judge Jana. I think that's a concern. That one branch of the government is trying to impose its will on another branch of government. That is not good for the governance of our country or for the democracy in our country. The whole tenure issue, similarly, depending on where the bill ends up, if we're eliminating tenure completely, that would be a major concern of mine. I've said, for example, if the head of LEC had a tenure position, I don't think it needs to be tenure. But for anti-corruption institutions, for the central bank, I think even NASCOR, because this is dealing with people's pensions, I think some of those jobs should remain tenured. And to the extent it's being proposed that all of those tenure positions go away, I would have serious concerns about that and about, again, protecting our governance and democracy. So some concerns along those lines.
On foreign policy issue, what is your take as a political leader, for example, on the discussion around the War Crime Court?
So I've been asked that question multiple times, and maybe even the last time I was on here, I don't remember now, Smith. But my first answer is I want to hear definitively from President Weah and the government what their position is on war and economic crimes.
What is your position?
So I'll answer the question, and if I don't get to it, then we can. Okay. you can ask again. I believe that Liberians want 3 things, and these are the 3 things I want, and this is kind of my answer to your question. Liberians want justice. Liberians want to end this culture of impunity, and Liberians want reconciliation. And we have to define the processes by which we accomplish those three things: justice, culture of impunity, and reconciliation. Let me also say to you and your audience that as we think about war and economic crimes, all of those two things have been very devastating to our country and our people. But economic crimes are the primary reason why Liberia is where it is today. And early signs is those economic crimes are continuing. And so it's important that we call that out. But again, justice and culture of impunity and reconciliation, what Liberians want, and we need to define as a country, as a people, how we accomplish those three things. You know, today you say war crimes, and some people think, well, let's go to The Hague. Some people think it's a TRC report. There's been no definition around what that is. Everybody has a different definition of that, what that is. But I'm saying let's define a process that delivers those three things. And by the way, you know, we're going to take a stab at that, the ANC, on how we think we should address those three things, because I think that's what Liberians want fundamentally.
But when you hear the leader of the country say that Liberians, yes, should decide what they want, whether they want peace or they want something that will destabilize their peace, can this war crime setup destabilize the peace of our country?
So he hasn't answered the question either, though. What is his position?
What is your position?
I describe what my position is. And I think as leader of our country, we need to hear what his position is on this.
Let me give you some time to listen to Liberians around the world speak. We're going 1 hour, and the rest of the time we'll take 10 minutes of this time to listen to people who's been following the show with you. So call us on 0777-00995-0888093-9395 or 0776-590-715. The political leader of the Alternative National Congress is my guest, Mr. Alex Cummings. We've been having a very frank conversation here, responding to some of the current issues in our country. So let me go to the line and take my very first caller. You ought to move away from the noise. We will not entertain your noise. So let me again go back to this line. How are you?
Yeah, good evening, Smith.
Thanks for joining us here. Please go ahead.
This is from Intermo Junior. I call you from District 6.
I told you people, no District 6, no District 12. Please give me the specific location you're calling us from. Morovia, this country got Bannersville, New Georgia, Stephen Tower, Point 4. Please, let's go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
So where are you calling from?
I call you from Morovia, precisely the rehab there.
That's what I want to know. Go ahead, rehab.
Thank you. Quickly to what the Honorable is saying in the studio. Let me just congratulate him for the assertion he made. In Tampa, Smith, some of us, when we were in grade school, if you were into the student politics, if you are not background as a class president, other people that are surrounded by you, you are surrounded by playing on your intelligence. He may measure a lot of things as clear as
your line is becoming terrible, so I'll hold you there and pick up Senator Sano Dazo Johnson. Senator Johnson, please go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Smith, and to your guest. I just want to, I listened to the conversation between you and Ambassador Cummings. I think you spoke very well. I dealt with the issue of the economy, the issue of the war crime code, and other national issues. I just want to commend him. I think he spoke like a leader and did it how our leader, current and future leader should speak. So I just want to say thank you and have on to you, Ambassador Cummings. Thank you.
Thank you,
Senator.
Thank you very much, Senator Sano Dazo Johnson, and not Senator Prince Johnson. So I hope you understand that. So let's go back to this line and take the next caller. How are you?
Yeah, good afternoon, Smith.
Thank you for joining us, sir.
Yeah, my name is Emmanuel Kunuti, and I call you from the Veteran Zero into community.
The community, go ahead.
Thank you, Smith. Let me say good afternoon to your studio guest, Mr. Alex Cummings.
Good afternoon.
Quite frankly, I listened to Mr. Cummings, and let me respectfully disagree with him when he shared since the inception of this government, he has not seen anything positive. So I think, in my opinion, it is about time that our leaders, whenever they are coming up with public analysis, they should be very fair in their analysis. And what Honorable Cummings wants to say, because the declaration made by the president declaring the University of Liberia and all other state-run university situations is that not a positive thing on the part of this government? The construction of the Toro Community Road, is that not a positive mark made by this government?
He acknowledged that. I'm sure that he acknowledged those rules, but there are other issues that he still don't seem satisfied with in terms of the government. Let me go to Lofart County. Okay, the guys in Lofart will call back. So let me stay with the line here. All of the lines now seem to be very busy. Please go ahead.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing good. What is the name, sir?
Good evening, Mr. Cummings. My name is Ishiaka Sharif, and I'm calling from Cinco.
Please go ahead from Cinco.
Thank you so much for the program. Let me fairly say that Mr. Cummings has spoken quite well, but I disagree with him on some of the assertions. For example, the issue that has to do with the president's submission of the bill to detain some positions. There is no dictator, for example, who would want to legislate any law. Any dictator who would want to craft things, at their will go ahead strictly and do it. But the president went to the legislature, the same legislature who crafted and passed those laws, the president went to them, back to them and said, you got to repeal some of those laws because they contravene the power and influence of the president. And so for Mr. Cummings to sit in studio and say it is wrong, I think he's being very unfair, he's been very insincere to the Liberian people when he says that, because this president went back to the Liberian because the legislators are the representation or the representatives of the Liberian people.
Thank you very much. We can't go more than a minute here. Mr. Cummings is taking note. He will respond to those one that will be concerned to him. Let's take another one. How are you?
Yeah, hello.
Thank you. Your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, I call from Jamaica Road. My name is Razak Kane.
Razak, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. And let me appreciate the senior brother. I listened to him and he was very clear to the issues. But then, now looking at the youthful generation in Liberia, the serious issue taken the young people, that is the issue of drugs. I just want to ask Mr. Cummings, if you were given the opportunity to become Liberia president, what some of the steps that he was going to take to fight drugs from the Liberian market?
Thank you ever so much. A direct question. Mr. Cummings will respond to that. Let's go back to this line here. How are you?
What's up, President? Good evening.
Mr.
Let me say good evening to Mr. Alex Cummings. This is Ben on the line. But thank you, Smith. It's a very good thing. Since Monday, we have heard the lineup, that good people you bring in the studio so that Liberians can hear their thoughts, because after these elections, the better don't be years that in recent times. But let me take Mr. Cummings, even though I disagreed with a couple of his assertions, when you ask Mr. Cummings as to whether he would take jobs for his own people, he said no, that baffles me as well. As a matter of fact, this president took jobs in the former government as peace ambassador. But hearing Mr. Cummings says only the presidential job, he's opting for moving forward, it saddens me. But before I drop the line, let me ask Mr. Cummings, I heard you talk about the government is born with competence issues and all those kinds of things. If Mr. Cummings is being called on by the president to come and bring his expertise to the table to help the country move forward adequately in terms of taking jobs, we take the job to help the country.
All right, thank you. Not taking, continue right here in the studio, and we'll give him some time to respond to them. Let's just give him sufficient time to take all of your questions from our end. Let's call it on this line. How are you?
Yeah, good evening, Smith.
Yes, good evening, sir.
The message good evening to Honorable Cummings. My name is Patrick Samo. I'm from Tubu Road.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I listen to Honorable Cummings, but I sincerely believe the Honorable has not been too fair in his analysis. Now, he listed some of the things he considered as incompetent of the government. But I'm taking interest in one of
his comment as it relates to the impeachment of Cabinet Janet. This has constitutional provision. I mean, you can't look at a proceeding that has constitutional provision and consider that as an incompetent on the part of the government. I think it's also question his understanding of good governance.
All right. Thank you. Let's go to Lowford County. The guys at the Attire Center there monitoring the show want to make a point. How are you?
Yeah, Honorable Smith, how are you?
How are you? How is Vonjama?
Yeah, Bonjama is okay. Everything is under control.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay, Honorable, thank you very much. Honorable Kumi, and welcome back to our country. It's my question. During the campaign, Honorable Kumi, if you can remember, Bonjama, he came to Bonjama Radio International Forum to say after he left, so whether you win or not, you will come back to Lowford County to have your appreciation tour. Now, we overspent, we went to 10 months now. Your office are left first, and you started to move the boy, you your party there, you already withdraw that move now. So why your intention is because of the appreciation tour in the party?
All right. Thank you. What is the appreciation for the people of Lowford County? You promised to return whether you win the election or not. Let's take the last 4 callers now. Then we will come back to Mr. Cummings to pick up some of your answers. How are you?
Good afternoon, Smith.
Please go ahead, sir.
Okay, Smith, thank you so much. My name is Sam Walker, and I'll speak to you from district number 30 in New Georgia to be specific.
Please go ahead, Mr. Walker.
I've listened to Mr. Cummings.
Sam, excuse me, Mr. Walker. You say where are you calling from?
I'm calling from New Georgia, district number 13 to be specific.
Oh, okay, New Georgia. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I've listened to Mr. Cummings stretch on a couple of things. But one thing we need to do as we politicians in this country is that I think Mr. Cummings spoke well, but one thing he says is that without the presidency, he can accept the Liberian people. This will show that how desperate our politicians are. I don't think you can only serve the Liberian people when you are when you only let's say contesting, let's say on the presidency. So I think Mr. Cummings see how best he can do to help the Liberian people to bring his expertise on board.
All right, thank you, Sam Walker. Let's return to the other line, and this line is killing right here. Let me take this one. How are you? Yes, how are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing great. This is Randall Dobayu, and I call from Morovia.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Dobayu.
Yeah, I listen to Mr. Comey, and Mr. Comey has, especially with Liberian people, that service leader who is only here for a new agenda. And you should make the point, without being president, what position can you hold? This man has acknowledged that there are economic issues, and he has boasted of being successful in the private sector. Yet he's not waiting to serve the Liberian people. Listen to what the quarter in local country said. The one that he promised, and he can never come back to deliver when he promised. It means he has no care for the Liberian people. As popular as we was, he accepted job of management himself as peace ambassador. He started in creating economic alternatives, not just by criticizing but by serving. What Mr. Kumi is saying today, he apparently serving. He is saying today he only wants to be president. But again, he is just looking to be president without any intent of serving the Liberian people. This is not them as the president in place. When you serve other presidents, that way people see honestment. So it's more unfortunate that the political leader in chief will be just like he won't want to be president. He wants the local country. He loves
Okay. Thank you for your point. We're looking for the last 3 calls now, so that we close up. The calls are coming in back to back. Let me take this one. How are you?
Yeah, good evening.
Yes, thank you. Ruben Kane.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me appreciate you this evening and also your studio guest. But my question to your studio guest, because I could not understand from him the successes of this government and failure. I think let him have also position to tell the Liberian people these are the things the government has done in a successful manner, and these are the things that the government has not done, so that we all can know. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ruben Kane, for your input on the show. Let me go back to this line here. How are you?
Hello?
Thank you for joining the conversation, sir.
Yes, this is Paul Mola, resident of Oro.
Okay, from Oro. Go ahead. At least today you're calling the real place.
Yes, I listened to one of your callers, and he differed with Mr. Cummings when it comes to the tenure positions.
I think I agree with Mr. Cummings because he spoke from a context. If this standing position, let's take for example, the PPCC, it has tenure, and the law says if the person who is the head there, who has a tenure position, went wrong, that law, the person can be removed. So because of the integrity of that position, is the reason why they get that position. It tenure.
All right, thank you. I don't want you to go that far. Mr. Cummings will respond to the question as it has been placed to him. Let's take the last two more now. How are you?
Yeah, how you doing, Smith today?
Yes, thank you, sir.
Yeah, my name is Lolai Kamara. I'm calling from Jakarta this evening.
Good. Jakarta, go ahead.
Okay. I listened to Mr. Cummings the last time on Hot FM when he said the political leader of Liberty Party told him that she saw Jefferson Kogi, brutalizing people to New Georgia way. And automatically, when the woman told him, he didn't investigate as a political leader, he automatically agreed, to what it was said. So, how Mr. Cummings and as a political leader, somebody tells you something and then automatically believe the person.
All right. Thank you ever so much. This will be Jamil Khalid here. The guys don't want me to call the phone now. How are you? Please go ahead quickly. We gotta go now.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jamil Khalid, calling from Moravia.
Jamil, just hold the line, Jamil. Sorry, I saw. No, go ahead. I saw the call coming from Sekou Kalasco. I sure you want to make a point. Hold the line, Jamil. Okay. Just hold the line. Kalasco? Hello? Okay, go ahead, Jamil. Jamil, go ahead.
Yeah, let me say thank you for hosting Mr. Cummings on your platform. And I just want to ask Mr. Cummings a question. I listened to him talking about he only run for the presidency. But it's on record stating that he's not going to run for the presidency in one of the many press conferences that was conducted by him in this country. So I don't know from where he comes from, or maybe you were frustrated during his defeat that he made a statement, or what encouragement have you had from the grapevine to have said that he's only run for the presidency. And besides, it's not perhaps you talk about the Nigeria hospital. I think the GFK hospital is overburdened, so the decision that was made by the president and the government to have instituted to pay a military hospital with part of Ghana that is so equipped with a lot of medical equipment that is now serving the South region to be compared.
Carrasco. Hello. Okay, sorry. I think we got a bad line right now. So let me come back to you. If there's a call coming from the special assistant to the president, I will interrupt just to hear what that call or point will be. But please go ahead, Mr. Cummings.
Thank you, Smith. So this is in no particular order, but there was a lot of energy around the fact that I said I would not accept a ruling government, and there were several questions along those lines.
Just one minute. Sekou Kalasco, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Smith. Let me say a very good evening to Mr. Cummings. Well, I call you from the Capital Bypass, Smith. And first of all, let me say here categorically that I think Mr. Cummings is proceeding in a very dishonest manner. Now, you asking a question with regards to when he made a statement that he said companies since President Weah was inaugurated and companies been leading the country. Now, can Mr. Cummings say to the Liberian people, based on the fact that he had, as the political leader of ANC, since Mr. President Weah was elected, how many companies have left Liberia? Can he state categorically that companies have left Liberia since Mr. President Weah was elected? Secondly, they talk about anytime the ANC people talk, business, they talk about the dual community rule. And one thing we're failing to realize is the fact that the total road connectivity in Montserrat and is with regards to feeder roads, is more than 87 kilometers of roads that this government is paving in Montserrat County. So for Mr. Cummings to come here and reject the Nigerian people by saying that by electing him or when the Nigerian people petition him to be a senator, of Montserrat County, he will reject it. The claim Mr. Alex Cummings is egocentric, and that's the reason why he was rejected by the Nigerian people, and the Nigerian people will continue to reject him because his only naked quest in Nigeria is to become president and service to your people. Do not only come with the title of becoming president, and do it in any manner and form.
All right, thank you, Kalasco, and it's good that you came in as the last, and I know the reason why I had to allow you to speak to the issue so that the political leader in here can now pick up. You got some time to go on to respond to that. We'll give you a few minutes to do that.
Sure. So, as I was saying, the question, even the last caller, this question about taking a role in government, if you will. Let me respond in the following manner. There are different ways to serve our people. Government is not the only way to serve the Liberian people. This is a fundamental message that all Liberians, particularly young Liberians, this thing, government that everybody is fixated by, there are multiple ways to serve. Yes, I want to be president of Liberia, but I've also said that decision is of the Liberian people. And if they choose not to elect me the leader, that's fine. I will still serve them, but I will serve them as a private citizen, as a businessman, as, for now, the political leader of the ANC. So there are different ways to serve our country. Government is not the only way. I want to encourage young Liberians to think about going to business, study engineering, study the sciences, start your own business, go work for other businesses. This fixation with government, we gotta get over. That is not the only way to serve our people. So I didn't mean it in an arrogant fashion, but it's a point I'm very passionate about, that government is not the only way. So yes, I want to be president, but I'm serving people as we speak. And if I'm not successful in making my case, that's okay. We will continue to serve Liberians in other ways, and again, primarily from the private sector. So very important that, this idea that you gotta be in government, otherwise you're not serving Liberian people. Then there was a question around Kabila Jene and competence. We spoke about Kabila Jene in the context of governance, not in the context of competence. So that distinction is important, and hopefully the caller understands that. There was a question about job creation for young people. Multiple things we need to do. We need to provide training and development for our young people. We talked about investing in vocational schools and skills. Agriculture is another way to provide jobs for our people, young and old, and investing in infrastructure. So if the current government, and I use that word, if they're successful in building roads, that will create jobs. That's a good thing to do, right? But again, let's hope it happens. But those are all ways we need to think about creating jobs for our people. For every county next year, we did stuff here in Montserrat, and as I said, Ambassador Subantel went up to Lofa on our behalf, but I will personally go to Lofa next year to visit the people of Lofa County. There was a question about Jefferson Koji. I did say I believed the standard bearer of the Liberty Party, but that doesn't, the caller shouldn't assume we didn't check or verify either. I do believe her. I took her at her word, but we did also confirm the assertion that I made. There was a question on the sort of dictatorship. I did not assert that the president was a dictator, and so I leave it. I kind of leave it at that. That wasn't my assertion. I think those were the major ones.
Okay, so in closing, Mr. Cummings, with all said and done, in closing.
Yeah, so again, let me thank you for the the interview, Smith, as always, very robust and good questions. Let me thank the listening audience for listening, for your questions as well. And let me leave you with the following message. Let's all continue to believe in our country, believe in each other, and believe that we deserve a better Liberia. Thank you very much.
And that's how we leave it. What a way to go. Thanks to all of you. Tomorrow, former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf will be here. Let me say thanks to all of you. Until I'm back, my name is Smith Toby. God bless you. I'm out.